Maybe you heard from us last night, but we are giving you a Monday morning episode. Just Baseball Show, as always, brought to you by BetMGM. Today, Monday, December 16th, Jack and Aram again, and we are putting on our Brandon Gomes slash Andrew Friedman and Perry Manassian hats. This
Huh.
is going to be playing GM
Do
for
I,
the Angels and the Dodgers.
do I need to put a Perry Manassian hat on?
What would that be? It would probably be closer to me because it's like curly and some gray, right?
It wasn't actually about the visual. I was more about what's inside, what's under the hat. But no,
Understood.
actually, I'm excited because I think we get to pretty much operate like a fancier Rockies team on here. I guess it's basically the Rockies with a little bit more spend.
What I will say is I pulled up the payroll numbers on SpotTrack and I was floored at how high the numbers were for the Angels. I'm like, with how
It's
bad you are, this should be
it's
sub 100.
impressive. It's impressive to be able to spend that much money and be that bad, which is really fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the seeds were planted with Pujols and Josh Hamilton, and it's really grown into this beautiful foliage with Anthony Rendon. I'm not going to say Trout because Trout, like that deal, I would do a thousand times over. You can't fault him for
Absolutely.
that one whatsoever. But the Rendon one, I'll clown all day long. Because it was like 2 years ago where I said I'm not even sure it was consensus that he was the best third baseman in baseball at any point. And you guys were like, "What are you talking about?" Of course he was. And now, like, it's growing, it's aging like fine wine for
I
me.
mean, I've like forgotten what Rendon once was, which is sad, but like, it's just it's crazy
And
how
it's on
how
him.
bad.
That's the thing. Like with Trout, it's sad. With Rendon, it's like it's on you, buddy.
You're investing, that's the thing with these long-term deals though. It's like you're not just investing in the player, you're investing in the individual.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Anthony Rendon like provided even before that. I know hindsight's 2020, but like you could have seen a lot of the comments that he said through the years and just the way he goes about his business. And I'm sure if you sat down in a meeting with him, I don't think I would have come out of that saying, you know what, let's give this guy 7+ years at $245 million. Like, again, you're investing in the individual. Mike Trout, absolutely. And then
Yeah.
health ended up being, what held him back there. But
Right.
even like people look at the Xander Bogaerts deal and it may not age perfectly in terms of his play on the field, though I think it'll be fine. That's an individual that I'm absolutely comfortable giving that super long deal to. A Trey Turner, it's the same thing. Like you at least feel like they're going to be, even when they're not playing at the best of their ability, they're going to provide something to the organization. If Anthony Rendon is not playing at a high level, he brings nothing to the table beyond that, and I think that's abundantly clear. Like, I don't see him as a guy that's pushing the team, across the finish line in any way beyond what he can do on the baseball field when he is at his best, which I think that ship has sailed as well.
I'm with you, man. Like, there's a level of being an ambassador that comes with these, multi-year extensions and especially these, nine-figure deals. And he's just not a good ambassador for that organization
No.
because he threatens to fight people in Oakland, and that sucks. Do you want to start with the Angels or do you want to start with the Dodgers? Like, it's so clear which one we're going to have more fun with, although I feel like it's a fun challenge with the Angels.
Let's mess around with the Angels a little bit. We're already talking about them.
Okay, why not? We'll start with the LA Angels here. Again, there's going to be a shorter episode. We're just playing GM with both these guys. The LA Angels, their final 2024 payroll number was $176 million. Their 2025 estimate, because they're still going all in, thanks, Artie, is $190 million. Crazy. The offseason so far, they lost Roansy Contreras to Texas on waivers. Pour one out for Rowe. They claimed Ryan Noda off waivers. They selected Garrett McDaniels in the Rule 5 draft. They avoided arbitration with Scott Kingery after acquiring him from Philadelphia for cash. They acquired cash for Matt Tice, who went to the Cubs. They acquired Jorge Soler for Griffin Canning, who Atlanta then non tendered. And they non tendered several, including Patrick Sandoval and Jordan Adams, their former first round pick. Additions: they signed Kyle Hendricks to a 1 year, $2.5 million deal. They signed Kevin Newman to one for $2.75 million. They signed Dakota Hudson. Scoops Layton broke that to a minor league deal. They signed Carter Keyboom. Did Scoops Layton also get that one to a minor
I
league
did. I
deal?
did. That was the one I was teasing on a week ago. I said they're adding another 2018 top prospect to the fold here. I'm hoping they add more.
Dude, don't blame him. Like, I loved that top 100 prospect list in 2018. I don't know about you. Other guys, they signed
Like
Trev. Yeah,
if they're trying to get people out to the ballpark in Salt Lake, great way to do it. It's like remember this prospect? They can play
yeah,
that game and bring them up. But it seems like that's the approach. It's just failed prospect season. They love it.
I think so. They signed Travis d'Arnaud to a 2-year, $12 million deal. Crazy. Not a failed prospect, but he was once a top prospect, right?
Yeah, he was, and then people thought it may never happen, and then it did though. And honestly, that deal doesn't look so bad anymore with the money that we saw Higashioka get, the money that we're just seeing catchers get in general. Like, I don't think it's a bad deal at all.
Nope. And then the big one, Yusei Kikuchi, 3 years for $63.675 million.
Hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that one yet. We'll see him pitch. I
Yeah.
need to see if he's Houston Kikuchi or Toronto Kikuchi because if this is like somewhere in between, I think this is an overpay. But if he's Houston Kikuchi, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you figure he just keeps doing what he was doing in Houston, right? Like the pitch plots are there. That he knows what he was doing. Like just duplicate that and continue to go.
Yeah.
And he does have a pair of great catchers to work with too, between a veteran d'Arnaud and Logan O'Hoppe. So I think he's going to be able to keep that rolling. Is it at the exact clip? Maybe not, but
Yeah.
I do think he's going to be solid. And again, we saw a lot of the money that's being thrown out there. And you also have to take into account how many pitchers actually want to go to this team.
Right.
I think that was a pretty good get for them. It's just like, is it enough?
Yeah.
And the answer is definitely no.
No.
But what is this team gonna do? Is kind of my question because most of these teams you read or you understand their situation and you can assess from there and we play GM from there. But with the Angels, I just don't know because there's been conversations about moving guys. Like they've talked about potentially moving. I know they were listening on Taylor Ward. I know that came out. But then also there's reports that, I think Jeff Fletcher of the Orange County Register reported that they've gauged the respective asking prices of Nolan Arenado, Alec Bohm, and Eugenio Suarez. So they're looking to address third base. Speaking
Which is
of
great because their highest paid player, he's making more than Trout this year, which is insane. Like Trout's at 37 something, and I think Rendon's at 38 something. It's like
gross.
$750,000 more, which is crazy. But you know what? Go get your third baseman. Have at it. Do you want to start with the bats or with the arms?
Let's start with the bats. Try to sort through that. So we talked about how much money, the payroll is. It's high for how not exciting the team is.
Right.
But I think Artie Moreno is clearly comfortable going right up to the CBT. He's not going to go over it, which he shouldn't with this team. But they've got like 38, almost $39 million to work with to stay below the CBT.
Yeah.
So like there's still more free agents out there or trades that they can take on. So like you think about it, they could easily take on another 30, $35 million, I think, this year. So knowing that as we go in here, it makes sense why they would kick the tires on an Arenado or a Bohm or somebody else. But I also think that they're still going to be a little active in free agency too.
Yeah. I don't know. Like part of me wants to get out from under some big money. And I just don't know if we align on that. Like, how are you looking at this? We're going to make them as good as possible for 2025, or are we going to make them, I don't know, better for the long term?
That dude, they only care about 2025.
I know, but I
You
just
know they live in this bizarre like fantasy land where they have a shot any year. It's the same reason why they didn't trade Otani, and it's the same reason why we just see them go out and make these signings that make no sense. And even like, I think there was like conflicting reports about Taylor Ward, where I think there was one report it's like, oh, they may kick the tires and move him. Then others said, no, it's not going to happen. And I think Joel Wolf even said, I think through Jeff Fletcher of the Orange County Register, that he hadn't heard anything about trade talks involving his client. And given how much they've been willing to hold on to Ward this whole time, why would you trade him now when you're presumably like kind of think you can put together a better team? So where are you changing things? I guess is my question because Ward is if you're holding on to Ward,
yeah,
they held on to Renhefo last year too, and he's
yeah.
probably their best bet at second.
Until they put Christian Moore in there.
Yeah, and so they put Christian Moore in there. I guess going to keep rolling Mike Trout in center, which I hate, but it's probably what they're going to do, or move him to right and then
Moniak plays center.
and yeah, Moniak plays center and Soler. then also like Solaire's. I think Trout should DH. I think Trout and Solaire should split time between DH and right. Personally, I
Yeah.
hope that's how they go about it.
Yeah.
Um, but then like Shanwell's set. Zach Neto's one of the most underrated players in baseball,
Yeah.
and Ohapi's set. I think the only clear spots would be the Joe Adell spot, which is currently right field,
Yeah.
and Rendon at third base. Otherwise, what else are they really going to alter?
I have no idea. So I looked at it as let's, recoup for a Ward and a Tyler Anderson, and I'll save that. So like I did put together a trade package that I feel like makes sense for Taylor Ward, but I'm with you. Like it feels like they don't move him because they feel like they can win the American League West this year, which is stupid and short-sighted.
Yes.
But I do feel like they have answers long term at four spots in this lineup. And honestly, that's a lot better than a lot of teams that put up the record that they did in 2024. Like they have their catcher of the future in Logan O'Hoppe. They have their shortstop in Neto. You mentioned Shonowell and Trout. Like you're not moving Trout. So you have four answers here. You'll have five very soon with Christian Moore. But for me, the depth is as bad as any team in baseball.
Yeah.
Matthew Lugo could be the fifth outfielder after Mickey Moniak. And then on the infield, Scott Kingery may be getting ABs. Kevin Newman might be getting ABs. Dude, like, this is no good. I sent Taylor Ward to Cincinnati, just throwing it at you. I sent him to Cincinnati for Santiago Espinal, Graham Ashcraft, and Zach Maxwell.
Oh, Graham Ashcraft and Zach Maxwell.
So
Um,
Espinal adds to the depth. Like he makes their depth better, but now we got to sign a corner outfielder.
yeah,
Ashcraft is a guy that could be a reliever, could be a back end starter, and then Maxwell is a guy that just throws fuzz that you throw in front of Ben Joyce.
I don't hate the trade. It's just like
Are
Taylor
they going to
Ward's
do it?
only.
The answer is no. Like I wanted to say it because I thought it through
I
and I felt
would.
decent about it, but
I would do that if I were the Angels, but
yeah,
like they're not going to. Um, I think when you look at the money situation, like there's a lot of teams that would be interested in Taylor Ward at 8. He's projected to make 8. I think what is it, 8 and change
eight
this year or something?
8.75 this year, and then you assume that escalates to 11-ish in
That's
ARB
nothing.
four in
That's nothing
26.
for a solid bat in the corner.
Yeah,
Um, so it seems like their focus is potentially adding a regular third.
yeah.
So I think you don't subtract, even though I agree. Like I think they should, and the Royals would absolutely, or the Reds would be absolutely interested. I think in him. The Reds would fit like a glove. I would love him over there, but
Yeah,
I just don't think they're going to do it.
right.
What do we think? Like third base, I think is the area you probably address immediately.
Yeah. I don't know. Like honestly, I'm stuck with them.
You
They
take a
break
shot
my
at Brett
brain.
Beatty,
Yeah. Who would you need to give up for Beatty?
but is Beatty like the thing about Beatty is you're still rolling the dice there. And yeah, he's got plenty of control. It's like, is he going to get it right? And with the Angels, um, Arenado did approve. Presumably, it's one of the teams that he would be willing to be traded to. Is the Angels? Are they? It does kind of scream Angels. Like they'd be the one team that like just would ignore the trends of Arenado and just say, "Hey, like we're getting Nolan Arenado. Let's
Yeah,
add him."
do it.
Uh, but like I don't know.
I
I don't know.
do I do like the idea of a I don't know how they value Reed Detmers. I do like the idea of a Detmers for Beatty flip flop.
Ooh,
I
that
think
is
that's pretty
fun.
even.
I do like that.
The other guy that I'm willing to move, I'm just going to run you through the starting pitchers right now. Uh, it's Kikuchi, Jose Soriano, who I think is going to be a mainstay in this rotation. He proved it in 24. Then Detmers, Tyler Anderson, Kyle Hendricks. That would essentially push Kohanowitz, Dana, and Aldegari to AAA when they all debuted last year. And
Yeah.
Kohanowitz threw a lot last year.
Yeah.
So I feel
And
like you're
and
working
and
with too
Dana
many starters.
and Dana should be a solid back end of the rotation guy for
Yeah.
them at least by, the middle of the season.
Yeah, well, like, what are you going to do? You going to send him to Salt Lake, where they refuse to send their pitching prospects? You going to send him to Rocket City again, where he was one of
Yeah.
the best pitchers in minor league baseball? Like, I don't think there's any point in Dana being in the minor leagues anymore.
No, I agree with that. So from that alone, I actually really I think that's a fun deal because it only makes sense for the Mets to trade a Beatty. I think if they're getting a
Big league stuff.
similar type of either a really impactful reliever and another arm that can help them, or a similar type of upside play that
Yeah.
fits their needs more. And I think that would be something that Stearns is all over, and they need more pitching depth just badly. And you know, I'm sure given the way the situation was handled last year with Detmers and how he was held down in AAA perfectly enough time
Yeah.
to gain another year of control. It would be probably better for both parties to just move him and get him in a different situation. And I think he would throw much better too. And I think if I'm Stearns, like I would be all over that. I kind of like that swap.
Okay.
I think that's a fun one, and I would
Let's
do
do it.
it.
Let's do it.
Let's
Do
do
you
it.
think the Angels would need to add anything more than Detmers? I don't think so.
Not with the extra year now of control of Detmers. Like I know he was not good last year, but he's a 25-year-old southpaw. And Brett Beatty hasn't been good in multiple stretches at the big league level. Like Detmers has big league success
Yeah.
under his belt. Guy's throwing a no hitter. Like he's had big league success. Beatty has not really had that. So I think it's a fair deal.
Yeah. If they're not moving Taylor Ward, let's play a game. Joe Adele or Jason Hayward.
I'd rather just see what Joe Adele could do.
Joe Adele or Max Kepler.
Max Kepler.
Joe
Yeah.
Adele or Ramon Laureano.
I'd rather see what Joe. I know Ramon Laureano had a good year. There's a reason why the Braves non-tendered him.
Yep. Joe Adele or Alex Verdugo.
Gross. Um, like Verdugo is the better player, but I'd rather just have Joe Adele at his price point.
Joe Adele or 37-year-old Tommy Pham.
In a vacuum, like I think Pham is definitely the better player, but again, cheaper. Probably just rather see what Joe Adele could do.
Two more. Joe Adele or Mark Canna at 36 years old.
Oh man, what did Mark Canna do last year? That's
That's a
one off the
screwed up
dome.
game. I'm sorry, Angels fans.
And like Joe Adele, like he's still 25, but I'm not holding my breath any longer. Mm, I mean, Canna. I'd rather just see what Joe Adele could do.
Okay. One more. Joe Adele or Austin Hayes.
I think that's another one. I'd just rather see what Joe Adele could do in
Really?
another full season. He had a good like first few months. He had
I
20
feel
home
like that.
runs.
I felt like that was going to be an easy Hayes. So clearly, the only surefire yes you had was Kepler. Do you want to sign Kepler?
Here's my question for you. Do you think they should consider just upgrading in center so that they can move Trout out of center? Have they said anything about that? Do we have any
I haven't read anything about it.
like there's no way that they think it's a good idea to still have Mike Trout in center field.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Now, here's the thing, though. The center field pickings are slim. You have to do it via trade because I'm going to ask you. I'll loop in the center fielders now. Joe Adele or Harrison Bader?
Well, assuming that then I'm moving Trout to right and
Yeah,
Bader's playing center field instead of having Joe Adele. If you told me, would you rather have Harrison Bader playing center field every day or Joe Adele playing right? I'd rather have Harrison Bader playing center
you'd
field
rather
every
have
day.
Bader in center.
Yeah,
Okay. Would you rather have Adele in right or Michael A. Taylor in center?
Adele and right.
Adele in right. So our options are pretty much Kepler or Bader.
I kind of like the Bader idea, but is Bader going to be that much better than Mickey Moniak?
I feel
Mickey
like
Moniak's not that good of a defensive center fielder.
Yeah, I know. The good news is Moniak hits from the left side and Bader hits from the right side.
Exactly. So you can kind of platoon it a little bit.
Yeah.
I I would I would probably do that. Yeah, I think you signed Ben. That's such a classic move there. I think they would do that.
Okay.
Um,
So let's
I
do
like
that, and
that
then
though.
I guess you DFA Adele
No, I think you
or
you put him.
Adele's your bench outfielder.
Yeah, and Scott Kingery can go back to the minor leagues, but
Yeah.
like yeah, I think you have him on the bench and splitting time and whatever. And again, like Mike Trout, like it's gonna need a lot of days off. I think he might
Yeah.
get hurt still. Joe Adele could still get plenty of run.
Yeah. They already signed Kevin Newman and Kingery, so it's not like we can upgrade in the middle infield depth. Like it's just
No.
going to happen like this. The rotation as it stands right now, after trading Detmers for Beatty, Kikuchi, Soriano, Tyler Anderson, Kyle Hendricks, Kohanowitz, and then Dana and Aldegari. You
Do you
touching it?
sign another arm or do you
I think you
roll
just
with
roll with
those,
it.
roll with it
I think you roll with it.
and try
I,
to make it a little bit more of like a super pen?
I think so. I look at this bullpen right now, and I see Ben Joyce. And then after that, it's Brock Burke, Ryan Zefferjan, Jose Quijada, Hans Kraus, Chase Silseth, Garrett McDaniels, Sam Bachman, Jose Suarez. This bullpen's really bad.
Yeah.
So I actually cleared up a legit spot for Kohanowitz and Dana by moving Tyler Anderson, who's owed 1 year, $13 million now. Tyler
Well, if
Anderson,
you do that, then I think you could sign a starter.
you think so, but
I
that would
wouldn't want to
turn
have
in.
two spots guaranteed to like
So,
them.
yeah, it would be Kikuchi, Soriano, Hendricks, Kohanowitz, Dana. You want to sign another starter.
Hendricks, Gohanowitz, and Dana. I'm not parlay. I'm not betting on a parlay of those three.
It's a really, yeah, you're right. That's a really bad trio.
But if
Um,
you move Anderson, my thing is, if you move Anderson, are you going to sign somebody better?
that's a good question. Let's explore it.
And he's 13 million, right?
Yeah, 1 year for 13. I was thinking about moving Anderson to San Diego
They're
for you,
broke.
but Yuki Matsui, who would clear up 5.5 this year, and then several more years of about five after that. So they would get out from the multi years for a sixth inning guy at this point. You could pay Anderson down a little bit for them as well and get another prospect.
I just he might be their second best starter this year.
Tyler Anderson, yeah,
At worst, he's their third.
yeah.
I think that would make them worse.
All right. So retain Tyler Anderson, and do we sign relievers?
Relievers. Yeah.
Okay.
Who are they going to overpay? Ben Joyce is, if healthy, fantastic. But again, I want a guy with some experience at leverage.
How about
You need,
Jeff Hoffman, man? Hoffman wants to start some games.
yeah. So do you sign him as a starter?
You could. I know they're going to sign David Robertson. It already happened.
Yeah, we might as well give him David Robertson.
David Robertson is absolutely. How old is he now? 40?
Yeah, he's 40.
Yeah, he's 40. Okay, yeah, they're going to sign 40-year-old David Robertson. I think they sign Hoffman. They do the Jordan Hicks thing. I think they actually just move him to the ninth inning after the All Star break.
I kind of like that though. Like, might as well try it, upside play, see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think like what other relievers would be. Most of these guys are gonna have better teams knocking on their door, so like why would they
I
want
know.
to go there? But I guess if you have a chance to be a closer and potentially be flipped, Kenley Jansen wanted to stay
So
out in LA, get back to LA, get back to the
funnier
roots out
name.
there.
Funnier name is Kimbrel, who can't let the ninth inning go.
Oh wow, Kimbrel's such an angel.
He is
They love guys
absolutely
that were
the Angels
once
closer.
good. Yep, Kimbrel, lock it in.
Kimbrel
This
locked
isn't
in.
even to be ironic. Like someone's gonna sign him, and it makes sense. And honestly, I don't hate it. Like I don't hate it for them.
How much do you pay him though?
Oh, dude, he doesn't. He's not getting another one of those big deals. He's
He
getting
got
five.
13 for 1 year, right?
Yeah, he's never getting. No one's giving him that again.
They
That was
can't.
crazy.
They can't.
Five. He gets five.
Okay, 1 year for 5 million for Craig Kimbrell. Are we also signing Robertson? I want to. Why not?
Just the oldest bullpen of all time.
Yeah, sure. And Ben Joyce is there as well.
Yeah, I mean, but it is also cool for like Ben Joyce to be in a bullpen with like two of the
Kimbrel.
more experienced relievers in the game.
Yeah,
Um, I was also looking at Chris Martin as like an upside play.
love it.
Spring chicken compared to David Robertson.
I love it. So, what if we signed Robertson, Martin, and Kimbrell?
Three? You're going three?
Yeah, this bullpen sucks, man.
I mean, this bullpen is
It's
atrocious.
really bad.
Yeah, I think that's where you allocate the money.
Okay. So, we just signed Harrison Bader. We traded Reed Detmers for Brett Beatty. And we signed Craig Kimbrell, David Robertson, and Chris Martin.
How do we find at bats for Evan White?
Evan White is not on the 40-man roster, so we don't need to worry about that.
We need to get Anthony Mulron on this 40-man roster as
Sure.
well.
Yeah, why not? The problem is like he's just not going to cut through Ohapi and Darno because they both have letters preceding their like true last name.
I know, I know. I just please, Perry, get my boy Anthony Mulron up for one game. He's earned it. He's earned
Man.
it. But no, I mean, look, it kind of checks out to what they'd want to do. I think Sammy Natera, by the way, will be in that bullpen as well.
Oh
I
yeah.
think they got to find room for him on the 40, but I could see him getting up there. But yeah, I think that makes sense because I just don't think you can go into this year counting on Caden Dana, and I think Kohanowitz is more of a plug and play depth arm.
Yeah. All right. So the newly constructed LA Angels, Logan O'Hoppe and Travis d'Arnaud are the catchers. Jorge Soler and Mike Trout are going to split DH and right. Nolan Shonowell is the first baseman. Ryan Noda recently claimed off waivers as the backup. Nico Cavadas, acquired via trade, is the backup as well. Luis Rengifo and Kevin Newman are the second baseman until Christian Moore is there. That might be out of spring training. Neto is at short. Newman, Kingery can back him up at short. Uh, Brett Beatty is at third base. What's Rendon doing? Just kind of hanging out,
Just vibing.
just
Yeah,
vibing. Okay.
yeah.
And then the outfield is Taylor Ward, Harrison Bader slash Mickey Moniak, and then Mike Trout slash Jorge Soler slash Joe Adele.
Yeah.
The rotation,
Sounds like the
Kikuchi,
Angels to me.
yeah, the rotation is Kikuchi, Soriano, Tyler Anderson, Kyle Hendricks, and then Dana slash Kohanowitz. And the bullpen now is Ben Joyce, Craig Kimbrell, David Robertson, Chris Martin, Ryan Zefferjan, Chase Silseth, Jose Quijada.
Okay.
Barf.
Not bad. Dakota Hudson's ready to plug and play. I think
Dude.
the Perry Minasian quote I think on that was great too. He was like, "Yeah, he was good. Like it was like leaning into thing. He was once a really good." So,
Really?
um, yeah, I think the quote was something along those lines of like he
That's
once was solid.
that's brutal, man.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Okay. God bless the LA Angels and God bless all of their fans. We're going to talk about the Dodgers in a moment. Before that, quick break. Okay, the Dodgers is a much better conversation. They won the World Series. Their final payroll number in 2024 was $326 million. Their estimate right now via Spotrac is $249 million, although I saw Fangraphs had it in the mid threes. So I was a little confused. I like going off of Spotrac's final number, their estimated number, with all the pre-arb and arbitration stuff there. So I'm siding with 249. I'm sure they're going to continue to escalate and all that jazz. The offseason, guys they subtracted. Walker Bueller, Clayton Kershaw, who I'm sure will sign another 1+1+1 deal or whatever it may be. Jack Flaherty, Teoscar Hernandez, Kike Hernandez, Kevin Kiermaier, Daniel Hudson, Joe Kelly, and then untendered our king, Brent Honeywell. Here's what they've done so far. They signed Tommy Edman with a 5-year, $74 million extension. They signed Blake Trinan. They re signed him 2 years for $22 million. They signed Michael Conforto, 1 year, $17 million. And they signed Blake Snell, 5 years, $182 million. They also picked up club options on Miguel Rojas and Austin Barnes, the backup catcher. And Scoops Layton had it for you on Saturday night. They signed David Bodie to a minor league deal. Cubs
Yeah.
fans loved that one.
I know that was crazy actually. That tweet got way more play than I thought it would.
Everybody thinks about the Grand Slam. Everybody. Walk-off Grand Slam, dead center. Like that's one of the highlights of the 2010s, and nobody can deny that.
No, that was I'll never forget like watching that one. I don't know why I was watching that one live too. It was kind of random for me to just have that one on
Wasn't it
specifically.
Sunday Night Baseball?
Was it? Then maybe that was why. I don't remember what day it was or whatever, but I just remember watching it live. So it must have been because why would I be like locked in on that game
I thought it was Sunday Night
specifically?
Baseball. I think
But
that was it.
it was electric. That was special, and I think that Grand Slam helped him get a nice little payday. He approached the Cubs about that pre-arb deal. I think anytime a player approaches the team about the pre-arb deal, if I were the team, I'd be like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do that. You wanting to bring it to me, I don't know. But apparently he's like one of the most beloved guys in those clubhouses and whatever. So he still put together fine when he was up there, fine numbers, 711 OPS, but should be nice depth for them. But yeah, the Conforto signing really confused me though, Jack, because I, I don't hate the signing, but I'm just trying to figure out like, what does that mean for Teo? What does that mean for their outfield situation in general? Like, what are they doing? What's the plan now?
So it feels like they're letting Teo walk. That was my big take. And like to be
Yeah,
honest, it didn't confuse me that much. It was like,
yeah,
okay, Conforto's just their next Teoscar Hernandez. They see it as their third consecutive flip candidate, and flip meaning like have him for a year, be awesome, and then have him sign a big deal elsewhere. Hayward, that didn't actually formulate the way that I think maybe Jason Hayward was expecting, but in 2023 they did it with Jason Hayward. In 2024 they did it with Teoscar Hernandez, and now in 2025 they're gonna try and do it with Michael Conforto. I just view it as like a pattern. I wasn't confused by it.
yeah. I was just thinking like, depends on how much confidence they have in Andy Pages. Do they maybe see Conforto and Pages as a platoon? But Conforto's a reverse splits guy, so that doesn't really make sense.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're just going to roll with him. And I guess the bigger question then now is, do they roll with Andy Pages and Wright? That's a pretty unproven. I mean, Conforto obviously is not unproven, but it's
Yeah.
kind of a mystery bag to a degree. I love Andy Pages though, so I'm very comfortable. Like I'd be more comfortable rolling with him. But we're talking about the defending champs here.
Yeah.
Like ruling out the corners of Conforto and Pages, I just feel like is sounds a little light for the Dodgers, but who knows? Like maybe they really do believe in Pages, which I again could totally get behind. I think he's great. But he is also a guy that I could see a World Series contender and a team looking to repeat, seeing more as a lefty masher than an everyday right fielder.
Could absolutely see that. Um, what I will say is they have a lot of irons in the fire right now, and I think that they want to play the strength and numbers game. They have to find ABs for Chris Taylor somewhere. Why is
Do
that not
they?
in left field? I think they do. Like they're paying it. Like, are they going to DFA him? I don't think
I
so.
mean,
I
he's
think
just a
he's going to be on this roster.
bench player at this point.
Bench player at this point, but like he'll spell in left at some points. James Outman is still kicking. He's
Yeah,
around. You're hoping for a resurgence, and then we'll see what happens with Dalton Rushing. Man, don't forget they
yeah.
extended Will
That's
Smith on a
that's it.
10-year deal. So Rushing could play left. Conforto and Pages can split right. The one that really confuses me is Edmonds not a utility guy or a shortstop. Seems like Edmonds the center fielder
Yeah.
based on everything that Brandon Gomes has said about Mookie Betts prepping to play shortstop in 2025. I don't really understand why they show their hand on the Mookie shortstop thing before the market even formulated. Why would you take yourself out of Ha-Sung Kim when Ha-Sung Kim is still out here hanging out right now?
I
Or,
guess that yeah.
I don't know. There's just a bunch of different avenues I would go down here other than, oh, Mookie's going to move to shortstop.
I guess and I think that's why Edmund was such a priority. Is like they needed the center fielder, and also now Edmund is that backup plan to Mookie at short if he's getting
Sure.
run down there, and that just getting worn out at shortstop. So the fact that Edmund can come back onto the infield dirt and play shortstop when they want to give Mookie some days off is great.
And if the shortstop thing, if they, again, they need to audible like they did in 2024 and Mookie moves back to right field, Outman and Pages can split center.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Pies is actually not bad at all out there. He's very solid. And Outman's good, and I love that you mentioned Dalton Rushing. Like he played a ton of left, and the more games I watched, the more comfortable he got. I'm sure he's been grinding that all off season, and I'm sure he's going to be grinding it all spring training. He's a good athlete. He can be passable there. You can also, I mean, a platoon of Pajes and Rushing could be really fun,
Yeah.
and young and exciting. So I agree. I actually can get behind that outfield situation with what they've got, given how much money they want to allocate in other spots. It seems like the bullpen is a priority. They were tied to Devin Williams. They've been tied to Tanner Scott. Like I think they're okay going a little bit cheaper, and I get it, right? A little bit cheaper in the outfield when you have an elite center fielder and Tommy Edman, and the top of your lineup is Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. And so I that totally checks out to me. So I don't think you really have to change much. The one thing I do think they have to change, though, uh, they cannot roll out Gavin Lux at second base next year. He is like the odd man out in this lineup by a lot. And I
Hmm.
honestly think if you played Miguel Rojas if he was able to stay healthy for a full season at second base and Gavin Lux, I think Miguel Rojas could double Gavin Lux's WAR
Yeah.
between the defense and just not being a total liability offensively when he's off. If you look at the slash lines, they weren't much different. But also actually Rojas was like comfortably better. If you look at the slash lines, like and you're not going to roll into the season with Rojas playing second base every single day. He's your bench kind of utility guy and another backup plan at shortstop as well. I think you got to upgrade second base, right? Or do they just not care?
Lucky for you, I think they will, and I put together packages that can do it. Now, the question
I can't.
is,
Yeah, thank you. I can't watch Gavin Lux play for that team anymore and
I
walk up to
understand.
not like us.
I understand. Now, the question is, Max Muncy played like 30 games at second base in 2022. Do you think he still has that in his body?
I think Max Muncy's going to be playing. I mean, I think he's going to be DHing when Otani's pitching. Like, I think that's a guy that should probably be there.
Yeah.
Um, I think he can do it. I don't know though. He did have like the best defensive season at third he's had in a while by the metrics.
But even then, it's not that good, if I'm not mistaken.
Now it's not great. Last year it was 5 DRS, 0 outs above average.
Okay,
That's
so
actually not
it's
bad.
good. Yeah. It's good. It's
Um,
not great. What I will say is they've been a match for the last 5 years. Nolan can be at Dodger.
yeah, and I think like that makes a lot of sense because you don't need Nolan to be prime Nolan. You just need Nolan to be a 750 OPS with great defense at the hot corner, and you're thrilled.
Yep.
I think.
So
Um,
I figured out a way to get my Nolan Helsley package to LA, and then I figured out a
okay,
way to get Lux out of town.
let's hear it.
There is a pitching surplus in LA, starter wise. As of right now, their opening day six-man rotation could be Snell, Otani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Gonsolin, May. That leaves Bobby Miller, Landon Knack, Michael Grove, Nick Frasso, Justin Robleski. All is depth. Gavin Stone, shoulder surgery. River Ryan, TJ. Emmett Sheehan, TJ. Those are all guys that you have
Kyle
on.
Hurt, TJ.
Kyle Hurt, TJ. So why can't you move some of Grove, Knack, Frasso, Robleski, Bobby Miller? I'll bring up something like off the walls in a couple minutes, but my realistic Helsley and Arenado from St. Louis to the Dodgers for Knack, Robleski, and Kendall George.
I mean, Knack fits the bill of I think what the Cardinals
Cardinals.
like in pitchers. Just kind of like less stuffy, more pitchability, and fill up the zone. And honestly, I like Knack a lot, but it's very clear that if not this coming year, like next year, he's going to be the odd man out. When River Ryan's healthy and Emmett Sheehan's healthy and Gavin Stone's healthy,
Yeah.
I think there's a very, and this is not a knock on Landon Knack, there is a very good case that all of them have a higher ceiling. I think Stone already solidified that. Sheehan has some outlier stuff and,
Yeah.
and like metrics in terms of the fastball characteristics. Then River Ryan was phenomenal before going down. Then you could say all three of those guys are ahead, and like Dustin May should be healthy, like you said, and like Gonsolin should be healthy. Like the one pushback would be that Knack is like you have Otani off of injury, you have Gonsolin off of injury, you have May off of injury, you have Glasnow off of injury, and you have Yamamoto like technically off of injury, but I think you could say not as much. Knack is probably the one guy that you could plug in immediately.
I
Like
think
Frosso's off of
Grove
injury.
I think Grove can be that guy.
Grove could be that guy.
I
Like
also don't know what Bobby Miller is at this point.
I think Knack, you said Knack and Robleski.
Knack, Robleski, Kendall George.
I think Knack and then somebody that's a little further off because I do think that you're trading two of your plug-in arms immediately.
Okay.
But Bobby is still a guy that you're expecting to plug in if needed immediately. So maybe not. Maybe I'm being a little bit too worrisome here. But this rotation after this past year kind of has me paranoid in
Totally
terms of
understand.
health.
Totally understand.
But you're not
So,
trading a Jackson Ferris in that deal.
yeah.
Other
I
guys are like too far off or have command issues.
I then go to I mean, Carlos Duran wasn't even selected in the Rule 5, but I could go to Carlos Duran. Does St. Louis want that? I could go to But like, could Ben Kasperius fill in and be a spot starter for them?
Probably.
So
Probably.
if
Yeah.
Kasperius can do that and Robleski gets the deal done,
And also like Jackson Ferris could be big league ready at some point next year.
yeah,
They signed Justin Jarvis, who I think is going to find something with them as well and at least be a depth arm. So maybe, yeah. And I don't think the Cardinals are interested in guys that are that far off.
yeah.
So I think that does work. I'm cool with that.
Okay. Helsley and Arenado to the Dodgers for Knack, Robleski, Kendall George. That means that Muncy essentially plays second base, right? Let's get Gavin Lux out of the equation. Seattle likes lefty hitters. Seattle needs second baseman. Lux to Seattle for Samad Taylor and Teddy McGraw.
Oh, I don't think they're trading Teddy McGraw for Gavin Lux, are they?
Really? Is Lux's value that in the gutter?
I think I'm number one Gavin Lux hater, so you might be asking the wrong guy. No, it's not that, but he had a 100 WRC plus last year and a 1.5 WAR. No, that's probably a good trade. That's a very fair trade. You're right. Yeah, I definitely am too hard on Gavin Lux, but I can't like something about watching him play. Just
I
I don't
understand. It's
enjoy
not fun,
it at
especially
all.
when you have the Dodgers standard here and Lux so clearly doesn't meet that Dodger standard right now. It's like it's hard because he's not doing anything exceptionally well. And I'm with you, like I'm still waiting on that 1,000 OPS minor league season he had in 2019.
There's something, this is a very pro player podcast, but there's something that just the way he goes about his business,
You just don't
it
like
just
his walk up, dude.
that doesn't help. I think you have to have an OPS north of 720 to walk up to not like us. And
Mm,
also like that, like I'm sick of that song by a lot. Um,
really?
uh, really, I think all of America is.
I
But
still like it. You know what song I'm sick of is Fiend.
oh
Second
man.
episode in a row.
Well, how about that? That's actually two separate. How about no flex zone as well? If you watch
Oh
any
yeah.
NBA, oh, those two are
I
killer.
think that's the Wingstop commercial that's still using no flex zone.
Yep, they are. I hate that we just gave them free play for that because they need to change it up.
Sorry.
Um, yeah, I mean, look, that would be a good low cost second base move for the Mariners and a change of scenery
Yeah.
for Gavin Lux. Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And I mean, the Dodgers would love to get Teddy McGraw back.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you know the Dodgers would figure out a way to make Samad Taylor a game wrecker in some form or
Yeah,
fashion. He would be an
yeah.
awesome OKC Comet, not Dodger Comet.
Comment.
Or he'd be a great bench, like, oh, he's in left field today. Oh, he's at second base today, and he's a speed demon.
And Teddy McGraw, just for those who don't know, like would have been a first round pick out of Wake.
Yep.
And I he's had two TJs already, but came back at the end of last year, looked really good in low A and a handful of innings. And I think is someone that you're not gonna lose sleep over parting with if you're getting your starting second baseman tomorrow, but also like is a guy that I think if you're a team that's trading a guy that's gonna be stuck on your bench, a fun upside arm to be able to add, especially if the Dodgers had just sent out some arms. And
Yeah.
McGraw's a guy that you're gonna push pretty quickly given the history and just the talent that he has arm wise. So I like that.
Cool. You could also sign Tanner Scott if you want. I feel like they're going to sign somebody.
I think the fact that they went the Conforto route tells me that they're going to allocate one more chunk of change, I think, to an elite reliever
Yeah.
because you have Trinan was awesome, but he's 36 off of like a
Right.
litany of arm issues in the past. I don't think you're going to put all your eggs on that in that basket. Evan Phillips was banged up and had one of the lesser years. He's still fine, but like lesser years. Kopech is looked great with them, but like again, are you going to fully put your eggs in the Kopech basket? Like they need one established reliever, I think, to add
Yeah.
to the fold here on top of what they already have.
And
And
I think you're getting it with Helsley there, but that's only
oh,
one year.
true. I forgot we traded for Helsley.
The other thing that makes me think that they won't do the Tanner Scott thing is find me an example of the Dodgers paying a reliever.
I'm
Like think
trying to
about it. Andrew Friedman paying a reliever. Has he done it?
I'm trying to
I was
remember.
I was thinking
Dodgers.
about this and I went 5, 6 years back and I was like, I don't think they've paid a reliever.
They paid Kenley, right?
When did they pay Kenley?
I think I think they paid Kenley the first time he hit free agency, or was supposed to hit free agency, if I'm not mistaken.
They may have.
But even then, like that was a guy that it's a little different paying someone like that when it's not the open market.
Yeah, 5 for
Right.
80 in 2017.
Yeah. Huh. I think they signed a reliever though, but I'm with you. Maybe it's not that super mega Tanner Scott deal. Then is it Kirby Yates?
Yeah, I love that.
I could see Kirby Yates going
I
that way.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sign Kirby Yates.
Okay. So what we have now is the lineup looking like Will Smith and Austin Barnes as the catchers, Otani DHing, Freddie at first, um, Muncy at second, and Alex Freeland can help out at second as well if you
Yeah.
want. Miguel
Yeah,
Rojas can also
absolutely.
play second base. Mookie Betts at shortstop. Freeland, Miggy can be the backups. Nolan Arenado at third base. The outfield, Conforto, Edman, the platoon of Pages and Rushing, possibly.
Who's
And then you
basically
have,
your third catcher too.
yep. And then you have Outman there as a bench outfielder. The rotation, well documented Snell, Otani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Gonsolin, May. The depth after moving Knack and Robleski is Grove, Bobby Miller, and Frasso. And the bullpen now, Helsley, Kirby Yates, Kopech, Trinan, Phillips, Banda, Vesia, Edgardo Enriquez, Casparius, Ryan Brazier, Giovanni Gallegos on a minor league deal. This
Yeah,
is a
that'll play.
perfect team. It's a perfect team.
Yeah. If Conforto like takes a step forward too, yeah, it's darn near the perfect team.
That's what we got, man. Anything off
Yeah.
the walls crazy that you were expecting that we didn't cover? I did put together like a, what if they got Mason Miller? I put together one of those packages, but I'm just not going to share it because I'm kind of embarrassed.
And also just like it sounds like the A's like why would you do that at this point now,
I'm with
right?
you.
Like and also it doesn't scream like a if you can go get Helsley on a 1 year
Yep,
and with 1 year left and get Arenado with that, like instead of paying the outrageous price that the A's understandably would want for
for
Mason
sure.
Miller, yeah, this seems like a great way to address the ball club.
No doubt. Peter's Joan Duran to the Cubs got me thinking, like, what if the Dodgers just got Mason Miller? And I was like, you know what? Get out of that line of thinking, man. You're better than this. Don't do it.
It would be fun, but it would also be annoying. I think a lot of people would be very upset. That was the other thing that's annoying. Like the last thing I want to say, when I put out the David Bodie signing, the amount of quote tweets I got of how much of it is deferred. Well, first of all, none of it is a minor league deal. I
Yeah, right.
understand that the people are just making the joke.
He's making 700
The
grand. Yeah,
Dodgers aren't holding players at gunpoint and saying take this money deferred
right.
or die. Like these guys, if their organization is savvy enough to convince these players to do it, like tip of the cap to them. They need
And
to put some
also,
guardrails on it, sure, maybe, but like, come on, you can't. Your team should be able to pull it off too.
man, like, good on the player. Like, Snell's deferring enough money where he's going to live super comfortably throughout the duration of this contract, and then he gets paid for the next 15 years.
It works out very well. Like I don't, more teams should be doing it. But yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But that was the most recurring joke I'd seen in a long time.
Insane. Insane. Well, I was expecting like, oh, the rich get richer or something like that, but no, how much of it is deferred? The other one is how much is he donating to the Braves Foundation?
That one's
That's
good though.
the
I like that one. I
I
like
do
that
like
one.
that one as well. So the transactions that we made for the Dodgers was sign Kirby Yates. It was acquire Nolan Arenado and Ryan Helsley for Landon Knack, Justin Robleski, Kendall George, and then it was trade Gavin Lux to Seattle for Sabad Taylor and Teddy McGraw. Cool.
Electric. I like it.
There we
I
go.
like it.
That was the city of LA. Peter and Aram back to chat with you on Wednesday. Two more teams we play GM for. We'll probably have a couple more signings. I don't know. The winter meetings are in the rear view. Every link you need is in the episode description, and we will talk to you guys on Wednesday.